Welcome back to Lost Legacies.
A Hidden City Book Company Productions.
Yeah, I remember this time.
Woo!
I also remembered that my name is Matt.
And I remember that my name is Sam.
So, what's new in the past week?
Oh,
Ooh, Gladiator trailer.
Gladiator trailer,
I
Gladiator
liked it.
2.
Other than the music, I liked it.
I having watched it twice now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with it. I get what they're going for.
Yeah.
It's a thing, and of course, now like anything pops up, there's got to be some discourse about it. So like,
Yeah.
but but like because there are a lot of people like, oh, why are they using like this song? This song's old. This song doesn't fit the aesthetic. I'm like, yeah, but it's a thing to get the general populace in, not just
I,
like the film, geek, the film buff, I don't know. For me, I think on the whole it works.
I hope it's good. From what I've seen of Paul Mescal, is that how you say his name?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I like what I've seen of him so far. But I really don't have a lot of like Paul Mescal experience as
Hmm.
opposed to Pedro Pascal, who I
Hmm.
do have Pedro Pascal experience and I really like him as well.
Hmm.
I like Denzel. I hope this is a really juicy part for him because it seems like in a way it almost seems like he's kind of a lead or at
Yeah.
least, yeah. So I'm like, all right, let's hope this is something really juicy he could sink his teeth into.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see what other trailers came out. I feel like something else. Hmm.
I mean, Agatha all along.
Oh, dude, yeah. Everyone is kind of talking about it, saying like, "Wow, there's like no MCU references through the whole thing." And I'm like, okay, I get. Like, calm down, guys, calm down.
Yeah.
There's people who just hate it, like what MCU is doing right now, no matter what it is. And I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, I see what you're saying. I could also appreciate that this really does feel like its own thing. Um, they do mention Wanda, but I mean, it makes sense because it's Agatha's story, which is a direct sequel continuation of WandaVision, you know?
Yeah.
So I get that. But I'm just mostly like hyped for the vibe. I was like, dude, this
Yeah.
not exactly, but like this creepy crap is what I wanted from Multiverse of Madness. Multiverse of Madness was pretty creepy. I thought they really did well in making Wanda scary, but I never once felt like I guess because it was Sam Raimi, I almost wanted it to be scarier. And that
Yeah.
means a lot coming from me, the guy who doesn't like scary movies.
Yeah.
You know, uh I like either go full Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, or go horror. Like Multiverse of Madness was this weird in between place where it feels like it doesn't know where it was like what it was doing, and knowing what we know about Sam Raimi, I kind of feel like that's because he's Sam Raimi. You can't tell him what to do, but he's still kind of shackled by what Marvel wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like just seeing the creepy stuff in this Agatha trailer, I'm just like, oh man, yeah, this is what I want. I was watching this and I'm like, dude, this is what I want, like Midnight Suns to be. I want it to be creepy, and then all of a sudden, Blade shows up.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, it's gonna be all right, people. I love that last shot of like the girl walking around upside down. Oh God, is she okay?
Yeah.
Oh God. I was like, oh man, that's cool. Oh, and Aubrey Plaza's in this. I didn't even know that. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I completely forgot, you know?
Which means she's probably going to be the
She's
quote
probably
unquote bad guy.
she's probably gonna be the villain, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like this is also the fact that Agatha Harkness is the villain of WandaVision.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems like she's definitely reverting back to her old ways in this. So I'm kind of excited to see that.
Hmm.
Um, because it looks fun. She's one of the villains. Like, okay, I'm interested in the story. I'm not
Yeah.
interested in the Penguin show. You know, I like this. There's villains who I think are just like, okay, Killmonger, dude, I'd watch a Killmonger series. You
Sure.
know, I
Yeah.
just feel like they're on a different level, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess it's true. I guess we never did talk about the Penguin trailer.
I never saw it. Was it
Oh, you
good?
never did?
Yeah.
Oh. And how do you know you're not vibing with it if you haven't watched the trailer?
It just from what I saw from the movie, like I love Colin Farrell's performance. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is cool for what it was, but like, I don't want a whole series on this.
It is interesting because honestly, it looks just like a crime drama. You know,
That, yeah,
like it's just it's warring families, you know, you've
yeah,
got like more of the Falcone showing up. Um yeah, you know, and then you've got, you know, his Oz trying to like take over, trying to cement his claim, you know, in Gotham, and it's like it looks fascinating, but it is baffling to me that this is the Penguin. This is the version of the Penguin that we're doing moving
yeah,
forward.
yeah,
And and yeah, I don't know. It's also a thing where I'm like, you know, they're gonna do this and it's gonna be a whole thing. And you know, I'm sure everybody's gonna get to strut their stuff as an actor, you know, have a lot of fun. But you know, you just have to remember that at the end of the day, Batman's gonna come into like the last like 10 minutes of the season finale. He's gonna punch Oz in the face and that's it. And
yeah,
then, you
yeah.
know,
See,
or we'll lead like the end will lead into like the Batman 2 and Oz is still gonna get punched in the face and then that's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
we're not gonna get a penguin centric film, you know,
Yeah.
like where he's the main villain. So it's just like I don't know, like maybe this is the route they go, but from what I've heard, it's not. What I would have done, I would have combined it with the whole Gotham City PD show that they had wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like that's perfect because you could tell the Oz's story and the whole rival fighting mobs while also showing the GCPD and how they have to adapt. You know, boom,
Yeah.
perfect. It's like The Wire set in Gotham.
There you go.
I would eat that shit up, man. Yeah. Yeah. And you get Gordon in there because like it all seems like pretty close in timeline wise. So is the Penguin show a prequel?
No.
No, it's like continuation. So this is more how like now he's kind of filling the void after well, what's his name? Falcone, right? Falcone's
Yeah.
dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So man, just what's the actor who plays Gordon? What's his name? Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright.
That's right. Right's right. So. Yeah. Anyway, guys, yeah, that's what I would have done. Like, that's one of those shows, if it comes out and people say it's really good, I'll probably check it out at the least, you know?
That's you
I'll
know,
give it a
that's kind
shot.
yeah, that's kind of my thing right now. Like there's, you know, obviously we've said it, like there's so much TV, there's so much to watch right now that
Yeah.
like I just feel so overwhelmed. And like, so yeah, it's like, unfortunately, it is a thing where it's like, if a lot of people are enjoying it, and if it's something that piqued my interest,
Hmm.
then yeah, like I'll check it out. Like I'm very behind on the Acolyte, but that is something that I do want to watch. Um, you know, House of Dragons, I saw the first season and I
Yeah.
enjoyed it enough, and I know people are really digging the second season, so it's like, okay, you know, once things get settled, you know, around here, then you know, okay, I think I'll
Hmm.
jump into both of those.
Yeah. We have a little uh experiment game to play.
Okay.
So, Buddy Dan sent us something on Twitter the other day. Which random seating arrangement would you sit with? And it's a school cafeteria full of characters from Lost.
Yeah.
So we have several tables here, okay? Table 1, Jack Boone and Mr. Echo.
Mm-hmm.
Table 2, Jin, Libby, and Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Table 3, Charlie, Miles, and Kate. Table 4, Locke, Juliet, and Shannon.
Mm-hmm.
Table 5, Saeed, Ben, and Charlotte. Table 6, Hurley, Faraday, and Claire. Table 7, Sawyer, Walt, and Frank. was that? Oh, eight. And table eight, Ana Lucia, Desmond, and Son. Now,
Otherwise known as the hottie table.
well, I guess I know what Sam's answer is. I was gonna say the challenge here, Sam, is that we can't pick the same table. So would you?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
is that the table you would pick?
No,
Oh,
I'm just saying that like no, that's where all the hot people are at table
yeah,
eight.
that is pretty hot.
Even like the photos that they have of like the one they're using for Desmond, like his shirt's all open.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like come
right.
on, of course.
Yeah.
This is where all the hot people are. Okay, I will answer I will answer this question, but first of all, I want to know who put the seating arrangement together. Because
Oh, it's perfect.
this is ridiculous. No, 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 no. This is ridiculous. You're doing this to you're putting my boy, my man, Mr. Echo, with the two bummer white dudes. One of them didn't even make it out of season one.
Yeah, I
No,
think
get
that's
that
what
guy
makes
out
this
of
game
there.
challenging, though. I'm like, ooh, who
Oh.
would you sit with?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm not sitting at table three.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
Charlie, but between Miles and Kate, absolutely
I like
not.
sober Charlie.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
only like half of Charlie's story.
Do
Hmm.
you have an answer?
Honestly, it's between table six, seven, and eight. I think I'm gonna go with table seven. Sawyer, Walt, and Frank.
Okay.
Because I just feel like I would vibe with Sawyer and Frank. Just they're just two dudes, like just chilling, you know.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Walt's just kind of there hanging out.
Hmm.
Um, but like also Sawyer and Frank don't seem like they're guys who would just like bully or be mean or ignore Walt. They would just be like, "Hey kid, you want a beer? Don't tell your dad." You know?
Or if Walt has a question, they'd be like, "Yeah, sure, we'll answer that."
Yeah.
But then when it gets a little too personal, but maybe you should tell your dad.
Yeah.
Talk to your
Yeah.
dad about that one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. That does seem like a cool table. I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Nope, I know where I'm sitting. I'm sitting at table six.
I almost thought that too, yeah.
I'm sitting with Hurley, Faraday, and Claire."
Yeah. I like all
That's
three,
I like all
but
three. It's an odd choice. It's a little eclectic, but I think together, the three. I think the three of them together. I think they'll just vibe. I think
yeah.
it'll be a great time.
Yeah.
It's definitely like that feels like the table where it's like these are the people that have their own. If this is like high school, like they have their own cliques. They
Yeah.
have their own groups they're a part of. But then at lunchtime, they're just like, "Oh, hey guys, yeah!" Like they met each other like somewhere, and then like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we went to camp together. Oh yeah, we had like this class, last year, blah blah blah. And then everybody sits together, vibes, and has a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's definitely like the table that I was sitting at in high school. I didn't belong to any of those groups, but I was just somebody who would go in and out. So yeah, I think that would be cool. And it feels like the table that has the least amount of drama.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Well, um that was fun. That was interesting.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It went a lot faster than I thought. I thought we'd be arguing about something.
Yeah. No, but I will bring this up again at the end of the episode because I do have an idea. So remind me at the end of the episode.
End of the episode.
Yeah.
Ping. Putting a
Um,
ping in it.
but for now, let's get into this. We're talking about Lost, season 5, episode 7, The Life and Death of Jeremy Bentham, where we actually see the life and death of John Locke.
Mm-hmm.
We finally get caught up on the last what was this like? Because in the show, I think they said he reached out to them a year ago. So I'm thinking like the timeline of this episode spanned a year
Hmm. Okay.
because if I remember right, that's what they said. Like, oh yeah, he reached out to me a year ago.
Interesting. Okay.
I thought. Well, no, because when he gets back, Whitmore tells him your friends have been back for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it
I
wasn't that long.
I think this is a rare instance of the writers just forgetting.
Just like Daenerys forgetting about the boats with that could kill her dragons.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's
Just
exactly what
like
this is.
just like Tyrion forgetting that we're fighting an army of zombies. So where's the safest place to hide all the people in Castle Winterfell? The crypt.
Yep.
Not that bad. Like this isn't that bad. Uh because yeah, I had that thought too. I was like, wow, this is happening pretty fast. I wonder if it's a thing of like Locke reaching out to them, like Kate's just kind of either Kate is sort of putting herself in with like when everybody was first reached out to, or if not, it's just the thing that the writers were like, whoops, like that was an oversight on our part, again, like they didn't, it's like you were saying, like they wrote in Jeremy Bentham, but then they didn't really know who was going to be in the coffin. They filmed four different
Well, they knew,
people in the
but they didn't want it to get spoiled.
okay.
But also I think at the same time, like, we're people. John could have showed up 9 months ago, and we still would have just called that a
Yeah,
year.
we just rounded
You
up.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's long enough.
So, but also talking about weird times, kind of what I mentioned about last week. This episode was filmed before last week's episode, and that was originally how it was supposed to air. I
Interesting.
I kind of prefer this way,
Yeah, I do too.
especially because Locke wasn't in that episode. So
Yeah.
it's like last episode, it kind of feels like, okay, that story's done. They're back.
Yeah.
Now we can tell Locke's story, kind of see that story from a different perspective.
I agree.
Because otherwise, it would have just been like conflicting and.
Also, I think the impact of Jack's journey is lessened if
Mhm.
we already know that Locke is alive on the island. If we already see him
True.
writing the suicide note, it's like
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like yeah, like because that's the whole crux of the episode,
We
is
don't
that
know what he wrote. Yeah.
we don't know what he wrote, and Jack is being so stubborn that he's just like,
Yeah.
I don't need to know. It's like, no, dude, you do need to know. You
Yeah.
need to accept this.
Oh, and speaking of which, so last week you talked about they couldn't get back to the island until Jack read the letter.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, wait a second. So they're trying to recreate as much as they can to get back to the island. Does that also include Jack's guilt? Did Jack have to read Locke's letter to feel guilt like he felt for
Mm,
his father on the first flight?
dang.
Because he's the reason why Christian Shepherd started drinking again.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm like, that's
That's brilliant,
so
actually. Yeah.
right. I'm like, yeah, Sam, you are. I'm like,
Thank
oh,
you. Thank
that's
you.
kind of what it was. Like that was kind of like the ultimate. I don't know if it's the ultimate thing, but like kind of the thing that pushed him over the edge. Like Jack needed to
Mhm.
be back in that headspace.
Yeah.
And now maybe I don't know. He could lead again.
Yeah.
Who knows? But okay, more timey-wimey stuff because we talked about this a year ago and I have forgot about it. The opening of this episode, the scene with Caesar and I think her name's Ileana
Okay. I don't remember.
on the episode starts where they're in like a what's the other island called? I forgot what that the
Tiny
other
Island.
the
Baby
what?
Island.
Baby Island with the others where they had all the other like the labs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and they're like,
Oh,
oh,
that's where they are.
oh yeah, because you see the shot, like the establishing shot of the island with like the little campfire on it, and you see the other island to the side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was kind of
Oh, that's
confused
right. Yeah,
first, but
yeah.
I wonder. I'm like, wait a minute, is this the other place?
Oh, and that explains the boats. Yeah, that explains
Yeah,
like why they have the longboats. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool.
So all of that, and then when you say we found someone standing in the water with a suit, I was like, oh shit, Christian Shepherd. I was like, nope, it's John Locke.
John Locke.
All of that was filmed. It was all shot, and it was originally the opening scene of the season.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And for whatever reason, they ended up changing it,
Hmm.
which I like because instead we got the scene where we find out Faraday is in the past,
Yeah.
which is cool. It's a cool twist. I think just drama wise, it's cool because like again, we're in the middle of this story of trying to get back to the island, having to get Locke's body back to the island, and all of a sudden the opening scene of the season is like, oh, Locke's still alive. And then we have to
Yeah.
go several other episodes with him still being dead. It just
Yeah.
feels weird and it kind of takes away the gravity of the situation, you know? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
he's coming back eventually. You know, oh, there's another plane crash? That's
Hmm.
weird. But it's like it was like it was spoiling too much, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm really
Yeah.
glad they changed that.
I am too. I I will say because I was waiting for you to ask, but you never asked.
Uh-huh.
Because you usually ask, Sam, what do you think about this episode? Uh
Oh yeah.
so I will answer that by saying I liked it. I think it is something that as the episode went on, I was enjoying it a lot more. And then especially like in the third act of the episode, I'm like, oh, this is great. This has to be one of the best episodes of Lost.
Hmm.
Um, but I had the same feeling watching this episode as I did watching, to an extent, watching the other 48 days,
Yeah.
where it's a little bit like, oh, this is how the sausage got made. This
Mm.
is what those conversations were like.
Hmm.
And again, I think this is just the thing that I have in my head, that like Lost is so mytholicized. Is that a word? Or it's so epic
It
and it's
is
like
now.
yeah, sure. It's so epic in its like proportion or scope that I think that events that they talk about that we haven't seen yet are so much bigger than they are,
Hmm.
because in my mind, every person every person getting a visit from Jeremy Bentham should be monumental. It should be
Mm.
huge. You know, it's the fact that Locke is off of the island,
Hmm.
and to our knowledge, there's no way for anybody to get off the island,
Hmm.
you know? And this is excluding, like Saeed knowing about uh Ben,
Hmm.
and having worked with Ben, all that stuff. Um this is like not operating within that. It's just the fact that like there's somebody else, there's another survivor who got off the island. And to me, it feels like that should be huge, and it never really feels huge. It is a thing that confuses people. The only two people who really get to acknowledge it are Saeed and Hurley. And really, Saeed's just more surprised
Yeah.
that Locke is here, and Hurley is more surprised that, oh, you're not dead.
Yeah.
Um,
I think honestly, out of all of them, the only one that felt like that was Walt.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I like how Locke doesn't try and get him back.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. Like he even questions Abaddon on that, where it's like, we also don't know what the parameters are really.
Yeah.
Like Christian Shepherd said, you have to get everyone back. We're not, but we're not being specific here.
Yeah.
Is it everybody who has ever gotten off the island? Because theoretically, that would include Whitmore too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, basically, I think Locke needs to work on how he questions people and what kind of answers he gets out of people, because
It's like he had
otherwise,
no plan at all.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I don't
very
know.
bizarre. But I don't think it they should have been epic moments because I
Mm,
kind of felt that way too. But I'm like, I think that's the point. They don't care. That's the
yeah,
thing, you know.
that that is
Every
also
single
true.
person, every one of them, even though we think that they are good people, it's like they don't care. And I kind of wish that was more played into it. You
Hmm.
know, I like how Locke never goes after Sun because he made a promise to Jin, but that would have been the perfect opportunity to be like, they're still alive, you know. And I
Yeah.
think what was it like? I think it was Ben when he first meets Jack, and he's like things happened after y'all left, bad things, and I think maybe even Hurley, did he talk to someone's ghost? I said something, but like there's been several times when they say like, "Oh, things like bad things happened after y'all left the island."
I
I
think it was
wish,
I think it was when Charlie came to visit him.
yeah, I think so too. I wish that was more of a thing, you know,
Hmm.
um, because like I would really want to see them face that moral conundrum. Like, guys, they're still there, but like shit's going real bad. You know, like these people need you.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, you know, and then it's still Locke, and I understand like this whole show has been building up to them not trusting Locke, and that's totally understandable. You
Hmm.
know, Locke is definitely in over his head, and that would have been just as believable, but that would have been the more kind of monumental moment when they actually decide they're like, no, I'm staying. Also, why are they staying? Why is Jack staying? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's almost like it's like his guilt. He can't feel guilty if it's not real. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which is
I think
total
in
BS, and he knows it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the thing. And that's the thing too. Like I think if it was anybody else coming off of that island, he'd be open to hearing them out. Even if it was Sawyer,
even
you
Sawyer.
know?
Yeah,
But the fact that it's Locke
yeah,
coming to him saying they have to go back. He even says, "We have to go back."
yeah,
And Jack's done. He's over it the second Locke wakes up in the
yeah,
hospital bed. He's just like, "Why are you here?" Not even like, "Hey John, good to see you. Sorry about the car
yeah.
accident. What are you doing here, man?" It's like, no, he's
And
pissed. He's like, "What are you doing
well,
here?"
he's pissed, but I'm pretty sure he's drunk. Like
Oh,
Jack's in the middle
100%.
of it at this
Yeah.
point. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's like he came back at the worst time.
Yeah.
So what was interesting is that like each scene wasn't really repetitive. You know, like each scene moved John's story forward a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
uh, Saeed was kind of the base. You know, but we find out someone kills Nadia.
Yeah.
So now, like, okay, what's Saeed's flashback gonna be? What the hell is going on?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, and then Kate, like, did we really need to see this scene? No, but this scene wasn't really about Kate. It turned out to be more about Helen,
Yeah.
you know, and I thought that was a really good scene. You know, Locke talking
Hmm.
about this woman who he screwed up with, you know, and
Hmm.
just that's an everyday real life thing, you know, that I think a lot of people can relate to, you know. What if
Yeah.
I had said this? What if I had done this instead? You know, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, damn.
And it's so crazy how like because we know we know that story, we've seen that story, from John's perspective.
Yeah.
So Kate hearing this, it's like it's so crazy how we have all these scenes, we have all this context that for Locke, even this is his life, this is like this is his life he's talking about here. The only thing he has to say about it is that it didn't work out.
Hmm.
And I was like, man, that hurts. That there's
Yeah.
growth there, but it hurts too.
Yeah.
Because we've seen what he's gone through, what he's been through, what it took to get him here,
Hmm.
the life that he wanted that he could have had. And he just straight up admits it didn't work out.
Hmm.
It's like, I did love somebody, but it didn't work out. And it's like you said, that is a thing I think everybody can relate to.
Hmm.
Which is why I love the scene, because Kate has absolutely nothing to offer in that scene, because we already know she's not on board. If
Hmm.
if anybody, I'm upset at how not on board Kate is. You know,
What do you
like
mean?
she's well, because it just feels like at every turn, at every point, it doesn't matter who's asking, the answer is no.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's just
it
like,
makes sense,
yes, it
you
makes
know?
sense. It makes sense, but she's out here saying that this feels more like you wanting to go back, John, because you couldn't leave the island.
Yeah.
And it's like, Kate, sorry, John, but Kate, you have no legs to stand on, because you're always running away from shit.
That's, yeah.
You're the first one to run. The second the wind starts shifting, you're the one like, well, time to go.
Yeah.
Time to corral all of my thoughts and feelings and lead people on, but then not commit to anything and take off.
But I think that's kind of the point though. She's always running away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what she's continuing to do. It's not
Oh,
that she's trying to run away from LA. She's
yes,
still running away from the island, you
yes,
know? So
yes. I
like
understand that.
but at the same time, out of this everyone who came back, she's the one who has the most reason not to go back. She has Aaron now.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone else is like, okay, I could see the argument. You could use that as leverage to go back. Well, I guess Saeed doesn't, but it doesn't. It sucks for him. But even then, after Nadia dying and all this stuff, he seems very zen about it. So I'm
yeah,
like, I'm assuming you killed her killers, right? Because the Saeed we know would stop at nothing to track them down. So it's like to be in the state of calm and to just calmly tell John no. He's like, you're always welcome to stay if you want to make a real difference. Like, oh wow.
yeah,
Like, okay. So Kate's just the one who like it feels like she has the most to lose by going back.
yeah,
So Sun kind of because she has her kid, but we know Jin is her priority right now. The kid's fine. She's with the grandma.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Kid will
Her
be fine.
crazy corporate mob dad will look after the kid. He's got the money.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Charles Widmore, man.
Oh
That was a
man.
cool, just Locke coming back. That was a cool moment. Like they're in Tunisia with the
Hmm.
cameras watching, and it's like, oh, of course Widmore's watching. He's like, this is the
Yeah.
back door. It's revealed that he led the others.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So
Yeah.
at some point he takes charge.
They were his people until
Ben ousted him.
Ben ousted him.
He said for 3 decades they lived on that island in peace. It's
Hmm.
like, huh.
Man.
I'm trying to think the timeline. When was that? When they run into young Woodmore? Did they say? I'm pretty sure they said the year, right?
I think they said a year. It was 70s, maybe?
Really?
60s or 70s?
80s, 90s, 2000. That's only 30 years before they end up on the island.
Yeah.
Well, because you also have to think how long has Ben been in charge?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get my timeline between the others having guns and dressing like the military, and then Dharma, living in their little houses and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, okay, my next note, man. Ben is evil.
Ben sucks.
First off, he kills Abaddon. Our boy Lance Reddick came back.
Man, I was so upset.
Yeah, that sucked, dude.
I'm
But
really I'm really hoping he comes back
at
somehow.
the same time, though, like,
What a way to go.
what a way to go, but like he wasn't a good dude. Like he dropped some like wise little nuggets here and there, but like
Hmm.
you're like, dude, this guy's a scary guy. You know, you kind of really I don't know, it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Also when he's talking to Locke about he's like, you always have a choice, Mr. Locke, and he's like, death? Like he's like, that's not a choice at all. And then seeing where Locke ends up, deciding to hang himself, you're like, ooh,
It's
is
like,
it?
no, it kind of is, man.
Yeah, I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So he said his whole job is to get people where they need to go.
Hmm.
It's like, oh.
Hmm.
So let's talk about that scene. Locke's gonna kill himself. I wish they had kind of set it up more. Like,
In what way?
like I really kind of wanted to get more of him failing. You know, because we were just talking about like, man, he had no plan. He
Hmm.
literally just asked and said they said no, and he's like, well, I guess I
Yeah.
failed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's kind of my thing too. Like it felt like this journey should have been more.
Like I just felt like we were missing something.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
episode should have been longer, which it was longer than the average episode.
Mm.
It was a little extended, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's just like Locke is such a force on the island of leading and trying to figure things out. We don't get that at all here. Like, but maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the point because you know what we get? We get original Locke back. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Because I feel like that's sort of a thing. I mean, that's kind of a thing. Like everybody goes back to their normal lives. They have
yeah,
their lives back now.
yeah.
You
It's
know?
almost like they revert. It's like they
Yeah.
don't get back from the island having grown,
Yeah.
except maybe Desmond. But then again, like he wasn't one of the survivors. You know.
Yeah. 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 We're talking about like the core
Mhm.
six.
Maybe
Um,
son. I don't know.
like it's different for Sun because like she has her own thing now,
Yeah,
but you know that's what it takes. It
yeah,
takes having the money and the drive to go after this thing because also she's not necessarily trying to get back to the island, but she's becoming her dad. She's
yeah.
she's going after this dude to hurt him,
Oh, that's
you
interesting.
know?
That's, I guess, in a way
I
that is
didn't
kind of not that she's reverting back to her old ways, but it's like she's
she's
becoming her dad. You know.
mhm.
Um,
She's going on the path that was laid before her, you know? Or at least like if not like her dad, she's embracing like what Jin was doing,
kind
you
of.
know,
Yeah,
where it's like she is going to hurt this person, because it will make her life better,
yeah, yeah,
or it'll make
yeah,
her feel better, in some way. But that's the thing, like it's delving into this darkness, you
yeah.
know. Everybody else, like Kate's still on the run, living a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Saeed, it seems like when we see him before we get to the point, like he's just not great, and then he's working with Ben,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. Hurley's going crazy. Jack's a drunk again. It's yeah, it that's I think that's the thing. It's because they lied. It's because they lied about what happened. It's because they left.
Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah, yeah, so yeah, it makes perfect sense that like Locke had Locke has this drive and he has this idea, but he has no way to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because while he's on the island, he can just talk to people. And it's usually, I think that's usually the thing on the island, the situation will just kind of happen, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Locke is a person who lets things happen because he believes, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Like the path will unfold itself instead of just treading down the path, you know. So outside of the island, he doesn't have that. He's exactly who he was before. And he's in the wheelchair again. And I think that's the thing that eats at him too. You know, he never
Mm-hmm.
says it, but as soon as Abaddon pulls out the wheelchair for him to move around him, he flinches, he tenses up,
Yeah.
you know.
But then Ben comes in trying to convince Locke to live
Mm-hmm.
just to kill him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because that's the thing. Like Ben needs to have all the variables. Locke killing himself robs him of getting information about what's here, what
Right.
he knows,
What he
why
needs to
he's
do.
here, what he needs to do. Exactly, exactly. That's the only reason why he saved Locke,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And you kind of see him turn too when he finds out Jin is still alive. He's like, really? He's like,
Hmm.
okay. Because now it's like, I could use this as leverage for Sun, you
Exactly.
know? And then when he
Exactly.
finds out that, okay, Locke was sent to find Eloise, he's like, that's all I needed to know.
Hmm.
It's like, damn it. He's like, I'm special. Why are you special? It's easy to forget, but we can't forget, like, Benjamin Linus is that spoiled brat. You
Hmm.
know, he's the Joffrey, you know?
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh man,
Yep.
wow. Good episode. Good,
Good episode.
solid.
Yeah.
And now I feel like, oh, okay, well, what happens at the end? Okay, so beginning to end, we see that the Ajira plane crashed. So, and there's survivors,
Hmm.
um, including Ben, but he's busted up.
Yep.
And I like how Locke is just telling everyone, he's just honest. He's like, I died. That's the last thing I remember.
Yep.
That's the guy who did it. I was like, oh crap. They do allude to uh, the pilot running off with a woman. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, it's probably Frank and Son. Because otherwise, Son would have
Oh,
been there for um, Locke.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because other than that, I mean, unless it's someone else, but other than that, that's the only woman who was with them. You know, because that Caesar even says everyone disappeared like mid crash.
Uh-huh. Of
I was like, oh shit. And of course, Ben wouldn't be one of the ones who get flashed away because
course
he's
he
not
wouldn't.
supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to come back.
Yep. He's not supposed to get back.
Yeah. MVPs.
I mean, it's Locke.
Yeah.
It's got to
Yeah.
be Locke, man.
Terry O'Quinn, man.
Yeah. They put him through the ringer in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so great because like he gets to come back and like see it with like a new perspective, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's there, I'm sure like the last thing, I mean, because we saw him, in the pilot episode, like standing up, and looking around and like him being really the only one who was like something special is happening here. This
Mm-hmm.
time he doesn't really have that, but it's just sort of like a back. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's the island. He's there. He's got his jacket and his shoes off, and he's just standing there with his feet in the water, looking at the other island. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's thinking, how are we getting back? How am I getting over there? Like, yeah, it's like he's back.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we've seen that the boats they had those boats on the island. So the people shooting at our time traveling heroes on the boats, was that them?
I mean, it might be.
It's crazy because like they're moving back and forth through time. We don't know where they were. So
Yeah,
it's like we know it has to be the future because their camp is just still there, but it's just a wreck.
yeah, yeah.
Where are Rose and Bernard this whole time? Because they got to
Dude,
be time jumping as well, right?
that's what I want to know.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that whatever menace happened or whatever, they're like, okay, people disappeared. Just in case anybody else disappears, we're gonna go to the caves. We're gonna go to the caves. Hopefully, if we're time jumping, we'll still be in the caves when we time jump,
Right?
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Hmm.
don't know, man. Who freaking knows?
Okay, predictions.
It feels like if these new survivors
Mm-hmm.
were chasing after our time traveling heroes, I would imagine it's because Ben is leading these people or has poisoned them in some way that's like, there are other people on this island and
Mm.
they're not your friends. They're gonna want to hurt you. They've been here forever.
That's his
That's
voice, yeah. You sound
yeah,
exactly like him.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not special. I'm special. I mean, we're special. Goodbye, John. I will miss you. Um, yeah, it's too much to ask that like Ben gets his comeuppance so soon, but I do think that that's going to happen at some point.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, dude, it sucks because like I really love Locke, but he is maybe the most gullible character in fiction.
Yeah.
He's just
But I think
so.
that's kind of the point of his character.
I mean,
He's
yeah,
he's still that the he's still the old man in a wheelchair trying to go on the walkabout.
hmm
You know, like he's as much as faith as as he has, as smart and intelligent as he is, he's always trying to uh be something that he's not.
yeah,
Or that's even the thing too, if he is special, he just doesn't know how to do it, how to implement it, you know?
yeah,
He's the modern everyday guy who becomes the one, the chosen one, which is something we never really see in media or in fiction. It's always like, "Oh, you're the one. You're going to save us." Well, for some reason, it plays out like this story of like the chosen, like Christ. That's the whole thing. Neo, you know, Thomas Anderson, he's the one, so he knows and he learns how to be that person. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Whereas Locke isn't. It's like if he is chosen, is if he is this special person, but he doesn't know how, and there's no one to really guide him, he just ends up becoming like mediocre, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's what really kills him on the inside. He's like, and that's his whole thing. Don't tell me what I can't do. It's like, but really, John, can you do this?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's just very heartbreaking about his story. And one of the reasons I really like it, because in fiction, we've been taught to believe, oh, you follow the underdog, he's going to win. And it's like, no, he's not. It's,
Yeah.
you know, at
Yeah.
least not to this point. So, yeah, man, I don't know. Okay, so before we finish, I have a new segment.
A
I don't know
new
what
segment.
I'm going to call it because Dan sent us this table or this picture of all the lost characters at a table.
Mm-hmm.
So for the end of this episode, we're going to go to table 1. Jack Boone and Mr. Echo.
Uh-huh.
Instead of playing Mary Bang Kill,
Uh-huh.
we're going to play Mary Bang or Die Beside a Friend Fighting. Which one do you want to marry? Which one do you want to bang? And which one would you rather die beside fighting?
Jeez.
I'm sorry. Mary
I don't
Bang
like
Kill is just too easy. That's a
I mean
children's game.
yeah,
We're
that's
adults. We play Mary Bang, die beside fighting.
wow. Wow. All right. Let's see. Okay,
This
no.
one's kind of tough.
No, I got my answers.
Okay, go for it.
All right. Mary, I'll go with Boone.
Interesting. Okay.
I go with Boone because spoiled rich brat though he was, there was potential for growth. You could
Yeah.
kind of see his change, you could kind of see where he was going to become something bigger, or
Hmm.
something more than himself. Learn that. So the potential for growth is there. And if it isn't, well, at least I'll be rich and, this is
Yeah.
a marriage for the public, and for us we're behind closed doors. I'll have nothing to do with them. It's fine.
You'll be a trophy wife.
I'll be a trophy wife.
There
Yeah,
you go. There you go.
that's my lifelong dream, man.
Okay.
I'd make an excellent trophy wife. Thank you very much. All I'm saying. Okay. Bang. I'll go Jack.
Okay.
You know, he's a doctor, always in the midst of crises and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so there's the adrenaline, it's like
Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy has lasted this long for a reason, because people never get tired of seeing doctors having sex after, X, Y, and Z
That's
situation.
true. Hmm.
You
That's the
know,
way it is in real life.
that's exactly the way it is in real life. Because fiction would never lie to us.
Exactly. I trust
Uh,
Shonda Rhimes.
I trust Shonda Rhimes.
Hmm.
Okay. I've seen Bridgerton, and that is my truth right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know. And also, they never said how long. There's no qualifications to this.
Oh,
So
that's
for
true.
me, I'm thinking, bang, it's a one-time thing. Fine, done, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
gotta look at his dumb tattoo ever again.
Yeah, that's true.
After that, in fact, leave the shirt on, please. I don't want to see it at all. Uh, and of course, die beside fighting. Of course, I'm gonna go with Mr. Echo. Of course.
Interesting.
Now I don't want either of us to go, but in
Yeah.
a situation where, like, one, who's gonna be with me in that foxhole? Who's more
Yeah.
likely to be with me in that foxhole, Mr.
Yeah.
Echo? And two, who is who do I feel like me and him we're gonna have like a true bonding moment? Like, who
Hmm.
in my last moments, if I can't be beside somebody I love, if I
Hmm.
can't be beside you or Kat, or my best friend or anything, it's like if I has to be with a complete stranger I just met, you know, I would want it to be Mr. Echo.
Okay.
You
I can see
know?
that. I can
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've kind of changed my perspective a little bit. Uh but I'll go with my first gut reaction here. And I'll explain why. So I would say I would marry Mr. Echo because he really
Totally
seems,
valid.
huh? Yeah,
Totally
he
valid.
really seems like he was on a route of redemption,
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
as despite all the trauma he had been through, like he's at the end of the day, it's like the story of like he was becoming a good man,
Yeah.
Not that he always was, but he was getting there. Um Bang, I was just gonna say Boone because I was always annoyed with him. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just toss him to the side.
True. True.
See ya, kid. But die beside in die beside fighting with whatever it's called. I was gonna say
You
Jack.
you made the segment. What do you mean, whatever it's called?
I forgot what it was called. I would say Jack because when Jack is Jack Shepard, when he's the leader and he's on your side, he'll stop at nothing to fight for you, you know? And it's like,
And
despite all his flaws, like he is so hard headed.
that's
Like
true.
he's if y'all are on the same page, he's gonna go to the line for you every time,
Mm,
And like that's Jack Shepard at his peak. And I'm like, all right, all
true
right.
enough. True enough.
So yeah, I don't know. Although I do completely agree with yours too, but I think that's the beauty of the show. You know, these are
It's true.
multifaceted characters.
That's true.
Yeah.
Are we
Well,
gonna do this for every table?
you're damn right. So
Oh
for
boy.
the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the next 7 episodes, we're gonna be doing this. So tune in next week, guys, as we do more. Um, but yeah, okay. So as always, guys, find us online, hit us up, let us know. Marry, bang, or die beside fighting with Jack Shepard, Boone, whatever his last name was,
Boomington.
Boone Boomington, and Mr. Echo. I want to
Hmm.
know. Hit us up. Hashtag Lost Legacies. You could also, um, oh God, Lost Legacies podcast at gmail.com. This is now, we're on YouTube at the Hidden City Book Co. So you could leave a
Woohoo!
comment below. You could
Hmm.
also, if you're listening to this as a podcast, like most of you are, you could send us a text by the link in the description.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. Marry, bang, or die beside fighting with. I'm on Twitter at _ Matt Jimenez and on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real. It's REEL Texas Weirdo.
I guess I should say what we're talking about next week. Next week,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking about Lost Season 5, Episode 8, LaFleur. I think that's how you
Ooh.
say it.
Yeah.
In which we find out where the island survivors have been for the past 3 years?
Yeah.
Question mark? I don't
Yeah.
know. We don't exactly know. Because,
Well, I mean, it's still been 3 years. They've been time hopping for like linear perspective, from the Oceanic Six perspective. It's been 3 years. So they've been time hopping this whole time.
so the people on the island,
Yes.
they would have been dead. Charlotte was dead within days. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like they like the time. Look, time is relative. Time moves differently. It's even Whitmore was like, I remember you when I was a boy. How
Yeah.
long has it been for you? 4 days. It's like incredible. It's like that's the time thing that we're dealing with. So it's like
Yeah.
if like the island people, for them, it has not been 3 years.
Oh, that's what I was asking. Like,
Oh,
like how long do you think it's been for them?
it's been days. It's been like 4 days. Or what, or however many, because Locke wasn't on the island for some of it. So, you know, I'm sure.
That's interesting because if he did stop it and we saw again with the time, we don't know how long he was actually off island. Maybe a
Mhm.
year,
Maybe.
but we don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to find out.
Oh, well, that's interesting because Jin showed up in like a
Oh
brand
yeah, was that
spanking
last week's?
van. Yeah.
Yeah.
A brand spanking new van with the Dharma clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess technically, I think, oh man, this is fascinating. So it's like, okay, I'm assuming Locke stop fixed the mechanism so the island wasn't hopping anymore. And then, oh well, no, because that doesn't make sense. Because at the start of last week's episode, Eloise was explaining like where the island was gonna be, and that was their only window to get to the island.
So it's still moving.
So I think it's still moving. I would say much like they couldn't get to the island without Jack reading the letter. Maybe this is a thing where it's like Locke needs to be back on the island for it to stop hopping through time
Hmm.
or something like that. If that's not
Or
it, if that's not it, then I think they're gonna fix it.
yeah, because what's really interesting is like no one else has talked about jumping through time.
Yeah,
It's just our cast. So
yeah.
maybe maybe Jock, John Locke,
Hmm.
uh, turning the wheel stops them from time jumping, but like the island's still moving.
Yeah.
Oh, because if you think about it, doesn't Widmore tell him that as well, or Eloise, something like that. She's like, "Why do you think y'all were never rescued?"
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it was
Eloise
already
said that.
moving.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just maybe Jock was just stopping the time jumping part of it.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so then that's the thing. When he left, if that's the case, when he left, he stopped the time jumps.
And they're stuck wherever they were,
They're stuck wherever they landed.
but
Yeah.
the island still moves.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. What kind of D&D setting is this? You know, like, wait a minute, an
A
island that
wild
moves?
one. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
An island that moves not just through space, but time.
And our hearts.
And our hearts.
Okay, so I'm sure next week we'll have everything answered for sure. For sure this time.
Yeah,
Until then,
100%.
everyone, thanks for joining us and
Get lost.